Imagine you are plunging into a hairpin turn at like over 300 kilometers per hour.
Oh man, terrifying right off the bat.
Right, you step on the brakes expecting that familiar, just punishing resistance of the pedal, but instead you realize you literally cannot feel your feet.
Just totally numb.
Your legs are entirely numb, and that wasn't some hypothetical nightmare for Fernando Alonso this Sunday. That was the terrifying physical reality of the new 2026 Formula One regulations.
It's just insane.
Welcome to DRS Zone. I am so hyped for this. We are taking you on an electric, high-octane deep dive into a Chinese Grand Prix that just ripped up the established order of the entire grid.
I mean, they took the script and just threw it out the window.
Literally set it on fire.
Yeah.
We are staring down a towering stack of telemetry data, blistering driver radios, and trackside engineering reports today.
We have so much to cover.
We really do. We're breaking down a Sunday that saw a teenage prodigy clinically dismantle the field, a 41-year-old legend shatter a devastating curse, and a midfield that essentially devolved into pure, unpredictable carnage.
It was a weekend where the harsh engineering realities of these brand new, hyper-complex hybrid cars collided directly with raw, generational driving talent.
Collided being the operative word for some of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the margins for error in Shanghai weren't just small. They were completely non-existent.
Yeah, zero margin. And before we drop the clutch and launch into the telemetry, I need to give you our mandatory disclaimer. This segment is part of our news coverage of recent F1 events.
Perfect. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because we have to start at the very front of the pack, where the story is bordering on the surreal.
It really is.
We are talking about 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli. 19.
I can't even process that. 19 years old.
I know, right? He converts his pole position into his very first Formula One victory, making him the second youngest winner in the entire history of the sport.
Sitting only behind Max Verstappen.
Exactly. And he spearheaded a Mercedes 1-2 finish with George Russell right on his heels.
Which is massive for the championship.
Massive.
Yeah.
That means Mercedes has captured a flawless 98 out of 98 possible points so far this season. Like, they are untouchable.
Perfect score.
But here is what I don't understand, and maybe you could explain this. How does a teenager just drive away from a pack of seasoned world champions?
It defies logic.
Right. I mean, it's like a rookie quarterback stepping into the Super Bowl and just throwing 5 touchdowns without even breaking a sweat, especially after that lap 11 safety car.
What's fascinating here is the sheer, chilling composure of his race management.
Chilling is the right word. He was like a robot.
Completely. Think about the specific pressure of that lap 11 safety car. Lance Stroll's Aston Martin suffers a catastrophic battery failure, the race is neutralized, and Antonelli's hard-earned 3-second gap is instantly erased.
Just wiped out. All that work for nothing.
Exactly. And for a rookie, that is the ultimate pressure cooker. The safety car is driving slowly, meaning your tires are rapidly losing temperature.
And cold tires are a nightmare.
You have hungry veterans stacked up right behind your gearbox, and one single lockup into the tricky Turn 1 snail complex means you lose the lead.
Right, because Formula One tires aren't like normal car tires, right?
Oh, not at all.
If they drop below a very specific temperature threshold, they essentially turn into blocks of solid plastic. They offer zero grip.
Precisely. The thermal window is totally unforgiving. But if you look at the steering trace telemetry during those safety car laps,
Which we were poring over earlier.
yeah, it's wild. Antonelli wasn't panicking. He was constantly adjusting his brake bias.
Right, constantly. Like every corner.
Like every few seconds. Shifting the braking force to the front, then to the rear, deliberately generating friction to push heat through the brake drums and directly into the wheel rims.
Oh, wow. So he's using the brakes as heaters.
Exactly. He was artificially keeping the core temperature of his tires exactly in the optimal operating window.
It is like trying to bake a highly sensitive souffle in an oven that randomly shuts off. You have to somehow keep the core temperature exactly right using whatever tools you have.
Or the whole thing collapses the second you need it. That is a perfect way to look at it.
That is just ridiculous for a 19-year-old.
It is. So when the safety car finally pulled in and the race went green, Antonelli's tires were perfectly primed while the cars behind him were literally struggling with cold rubber.
They're just sliding around.
Right. So he puts his head down, hits his braking points with surgical precision, and just pulls away to a 6.6-second lead.
Just clinical.
And he wasn't relying on burning up his tires for short-term pace either.
Yeah.
His lap times were relentlessly, effortlessly consistent.
Which brings us to a pretty glaring realization for the 2026 season.
Oh, absolutely.
Based on what we saw in Shanghai, This 19-year-old isn't just George Russell's understudy. He might actually be Russell's single biggest threat for the World Championship.
He's the real deal, no question.
That has to send a shiver down the spine of the rest of the paddock. A Mercedes W17 chassis that seems completely dialed in, piloted by a veteran in his prime, and a rookie who processes telemetry like a supercomputer.
It's a terrifying combo.
But wait, I want to challenge this narrative slightly.
Hey, lay it on me.
Antonelli drove brilliantly, yes, but he was also handed a gigantic favor by the cars behind him.
You're talking about the Ferraris.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because a reason he was able to build that untouchable 6.6-second lead was because of the utter civil war that erupted in his rearview mirrors between the two Ferraris.
The Red War. It was an astonishing display of inter-team hostility.
Hostility is an understatement. We are talking about Lewis Hamilton, at 41 years old, finally scoring his first podium for Ferrari, taking P3.
Which snaps an agonizing podium drought for him.
Yeah, dating all the way back to Las Vegas in 2024. But to finally stand on those steps wearing a red suit, he had to engage in a vicious, wheel-to-wheel dogfight with his own teammate, Charles Leclerc.
It was brutal. They traded places multiple times.
Pushing the absolute limit of grip, I want you to imagine the sheer panic on the Ferrari pit wall.
Oh, the engineers must have been covering their eyes.
Seriously. You have the two highest-profile superstars in the sport, in the same machinery, overlapping wheels, diving late on the brakes into the hairpin.
One slight miscalculation and both red cars are in the wall.
A double DNF right there. But from an engineering standpoint, why was this battle so detrimental to their overall race time? Like, shouldn't Leclerc have just used DRS on the 1.2-kilometer back straight to breeze past?
Well, that is exactly where the new 2026 engine regulations completely changed the geometry of a racing battle.
Because of the battery power, right?
Right. Remember, these new power units feature a 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and the electrical battery system.
The MGUK.
Exactly. The MGUK, the electric motor, is now responsible for nearly half of the car's total horsepower.
Half. Wait, so it's not just a little hybrid boost button anymore. It is literally half the engine.
It is half the engine. So to pull off those aggressive defensive moves and late-braking lunges in the twisty middle sector of the track, Hamilton and Leclerc were violently scrubbing their tires.
Which is bad enough.
Right, but more importantly, they were burning through their electrical energy deployment. They were emptying their battery reserves just to fight each other through the corner.
Okay, let me make sure I'm getting this. It is like playing a highly demanding 3D video game on your phone when you are sitting at, like, 1% battery.
Yes, exactly.
The phone's processor forcefully throttles your performance just to keep the device alive.
Perfect analogy.
So if Hamilton and Leclerc drain their batteries fighting in Sector 2, what happens when they hit that giant straightaway in Sector 3?
They experience what engineers call clipping.
Clipping.
Yeah. Because the battery is depleted, the electric motor abruptly stops assisting the V6 engine halfway down the straight. The car essentially hits an invisible aerodynamic wall.
Man, that sounds brutal.
Even with the DRS flap wide open, which reduces drag, Leclerc couldn't pass Hamilton because neither of them had the electrical horsepower to push through the air.
They were literally a sitting duck.
They were both crawling at the end of the straight, throttling their own top speed. And who was sitting right behind them, analyzing this entire red demolition derby?
George Russell. Just biding his time.
Russell executed a tactical masterclass. He watched the Ferraris fighting, realized they were draining their deployment, and he deliberately backed off.
Just playing the long game.
He cooled his tires. He harvested electrical energy under braking, charging his battery to 100%.
Oh, that's so smart.
Once Hamilton and Leclerc had completely compromised their own pace and emptied their hybrid systems, Russell had an enormous delta in both mechanical grip and electrical power.
He just walked past them.
He deployed his full battery, swept past both of them with ease, and secured that critical second place. Ferrari's inability to establish team orders didn't just cost them lap time.
It handed Mercedes maximum points on a silver platter.
Absolutely.
It is the ultimate racing paradox because the fans in the grandstands are screaming because it is the most entertaining, fiery racing we have seen in months.
We loved watching it.
Totally. But the engineers on the pit wall are staring at the telemetry knowing it is a mathematical disaster.
It's a nightmare for them.
But listen, as compelling as that tactical chess match at the front was, it was honestly a luxury compared to the grim reality further back.
Grim is putting it lightly.
We need to transition from the sharp end of the grid to the survival of the fittest chaos in the midfield. Because for half the drivers in Shanghai, simply keeping the engine running was a massive achievement.
The attrition rate was staggering. It felt less like a Grand Prix and more like an endurance test of prototype machinery.
Just look at the did not start list.
Oh, the DNS list was a bloodbath.
4 cars did not even make it to the formation lap.
Unbelievable.
Both McLarens, Lando Norris, and Oscar Piastri. They suffered terminal system failures right there in the garage.
Just heartbreaking for McLaren.
Alex Albon, out. Gabriel Bortoleto, out. You literally have mechanics sprinting around the grid, laptops plugged into side pods, cars being shoved backward into the pit lane.
It was a complete electronic meltdown for multiple teams.
Total chaos.
Yeah.
And then the lights actually go out, and Max Verstappen suffers a horrific launch.
Just bogged down completely.
He instantly loses 6 places off the line, gets swallowed up by the pack, and after wrestling a broken car for most of the afternoon, ultimately retires the Red Bull on lap 45 with 0 power.
Which is just a shocking visual for a driver who has basically defined technical dominance in this era.
Right. Seeing Max pull over like that is so rare.
The Red Bull powertrain simply shut down.
Yeah.
But, while Verstappen's machinery failed him, we saw an astonishing display of defensive grit from Carlos Sainz.
Oh, Sainz, wrestling that severely outpaced Williams to an incredible 9th place.
It is one of those drives, it won't make the flashy social media highlight reels.
No, definitely not.
But inside the engineering briefings, it earns immense respect. Sainz was defending fiercely on 40-lap-old hard tires.
40 laps.
The chemical grip of that rubber was completely gone. He was essentially driving on blocks of wood.
Blocks of wood, yeah.
And he had Franco Colapinto's Alpine, which was equipped with much fresher, grippier medium tires, hunting him down lap after agonizing lap.
Wait, how is it physically possible to defend against a car with fresh rubber and DRS when you were basically sliding around on ice skates? Shouldn't Colapinto have just driven around the outside of him?
You would think so, but it comes down to corner geometry and hybrid deployment.
Okay, break that down for me.
So, Sainz couldn't match Colapinto's speed through the sweeping corners, so he deliberately altered his racing line. He started V-lining the corners.
V-lining?
Yeah, braking late, turning the car sharply at the apex, and getting the Williams pointed completely straight as early as possible.
Okay, making a V instead of a U shape.
Exactly. Because the 2026 cars rely so heavily on that massive 350-kilowatt electrical punch, you can only deploy full power when the steering wheel is straight.
Oh, because if you deploy it while turning...
Rear tires instantly spin out, you'd spin right into the gravel. So Sainz parked his car on the apex, blocked Colapinto's momentum, and then used his straight-line electrical deployment to launch out of the corner, ensuring he couldn't be passed on the straights.
That is insane.
He extracted maximum points from a compromised strategy through pure racing intellect.
That is just incredible situational awareness. But, the Grit Saints showed highlights a much darker systemic issue with these 2026 regulations.
Yeah, it really does.
Which brings us to Fernando Alonso. Because this is the part of the race that genuinely shocked me.
Me too.
So what does this all mean? Alonso executes this unbelievable rocket ship start. He launches that Aston Martin from 19th on the grid all the way up to 9th.
He was on fire.
He is absolutely flying. But by lap 33, he unexpectedly pulls into the garage and just retires the car. And the reason why is terrifying.
Yeah, it's really bad.
The Honda engine in the back of that Aston Martin was vibrating so violently that Alonso lost feeling in his hands and his feet.
He literally went numb.
He could not feel the brake pedal at 300 kilometers per hour. Why on earth would a modern Formula One engine shake a car to pieces like that?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it is a severe harmonization failure between the internal combustion engine and the new, drastically enlarged electrical generator.
Harmonization failure.
Yeah, the software must perfectly sync the electrical torque delivery from the MGUK with the explosive combustion strokes of the V6 engine.
Okay, so they have to fire at the exact same time.
Right. And if that timing is off by even a fraction of a millisecond, the two power sources physically fight each other. They create a high-frequency harmonic resonance.
Oh, man.
It's similar to how noise-canceling headphones work, but like in reverse.
Wait, so instead of canceling the vibrations out,
the mismatched frequencies amplify each other, sending violent bone-rattling shockwaves straight through the carbon fiber chassis and directly into the driver's seat.
that sounds like torture. When he got out of the car, Alonso did not hold back at all.
Oh, he was furious.
He delivered a scathing post-race interview literally labeling the current regulations the World Championship of Batteries.
Which is a brilliant quote, honestly.
It is. He clearly stated that the racing right now is entirely dictated by electrical deployment maps. Like, you can possess the greatest racecraft in the world, but if your battery software is flawed, you are a sitting duck.
Alonso's comments are a blaring warning siren for the FIA.
They have to do something.
You have a stark contrast playing out on the track. On one hand, you have the tactical genius of Carlos Sainz, proving that human skill can still extract gold from a terrible car.
Right.
But on the other hand, you have the severe physical danger of Alonso's Aston Martin. A Formula One car vibrating so intensely that a two-time world champion goes physically numb is a catastrophic safety failure.
Absolutely catastrophic.
Think about the sensory precision required to modulate a brake pedal under 5 Gs of deceleration.
You need to feel every millimeter of that pedal.
Exactly. If your extremities are numb, you literally cannot safely bring the car to a halt. This transcends a mere performance deficit. It is a critical health hazard that Honda and Aston Martin are obligated to fix before the next race in Japan.
It really reframes what these athletes are dealing with inside the cockpit, right? We see the glamorous overtakes on the broadcast, but we do not feel the violent frequencies tearing through the suspension.
We don't feel the pain they're in.
It is a miracle. Alonso kept that car out of the barriers for 33 laps, relying purely on muscle memory and visual cues because his tactile feedback was just gone.
It speaks volumes about his underlying instinct. However, a driver should never have to rely on blind instinct simply to keep the car on the asphalt because the machinery is causing neurological numbness.
Exactly. So let's aggressively recap the explosive narrative of this Chinese Grand Prix.
Let's do it.
We witnessed the undeniable arrival of KIMI Antonelli, a teenager who didn't just survive the pressure of the safety car, but basically utilized tire thermals to completely dominate the field.
A masterclass.
We saw Lewis Hamilton's Red Redemption securing a Ferrari podium after a fierce, no-holds-barred dogfight with his own teammate that exposed the unforgiving nature of the new hybrid deployment rules.
The Red War.
And behind all of that tactical brilliance, we watched a midfield that honestly resembled a high-speed demolition derby, where just surviving electronic failures and violent engine harmonization issues was an achievement in itself.
It was a ruthless, high-stakes battle of attrition where raw talent and a mechanical survival were just colliding all afternoon.
It really was.
And this raises an important question to leave everyone with.
Okay, let's hear it.
With Mercedes operating at absolute perfection right now, will Ferrari's willingness to let their two alpha drivers fight to the death cost them the Constructors' Championship?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Or is this exactly the kind of ruthless, pure racing this sport desperately needs right now?
That is the perfect, controversial question to leave hanging in the air as we pack up our data from Shanghai. The friction between clinical engineering perfection and just raw, unfiltered racing ego is going to define the rest of this year.
It's going to be a wild season.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. The energy today was off the charts, and we have so much more coming your way as this 2026 season continues to detonate all our expectations. Make sure you follow DRS Zone on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube so you never miss a corner of the action.